Hey everybody, it's Lester Martin, developer advocate here at Datavolo. We got a great show for you today. It'll actually be, I don't know, broadcast number 4. We're going to have today our good friend Robert Kurc. As you see below, he's a avid D&D player, but more importantly, he's an intern here at Datavolo. We got a friend of show today, Jay. I'll let him introduce himself in a second. But before that, a quick word from our sponsor. Today is brought to you by Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. It's the same great Dr. Pepper taste, but with zero sugar. All right. So, no, they weren't really our sponsor, but I doubt we'll get a cease and desist from our good friends at Dr. Pepper for some free advertisement. Love me some Dr. Pepper. All right. So, today's topic is RPG RAG app. As you see there, making a little fun with all that. I'll let Robert tell us all about that. But since Jay's going to be here, let him do a quick shout out since he's a friend of the show. What his role here is at Datavolo, and then we'll turn it over to you, Robert.
Hey Lester, thanks for having me. Hi everyone. My name is Jay Carlson. I am the product manager here at Datavolo. This is my first week, day number 5. Excited to be here, learn a little bit about Dungeons and Dragons with Robert.
Thanks, Jay. All right, the floor is yours, Robert. Take it away.
Thank you.
Let me
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
sharing so you can go nuts. Yeah,
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me.
more than
Yeah,
glad. You're doing us a favor. Thank you.
of course. Just for everyone at home, I've been intern here for past few months. I'm gonna be a sophomore in high school. And yeah, so let's just get started with this. Yeah.
And I shouldn't shamelessly do it, but Datavolo, so straightforward. Even a high school student can build a data engineering pipeline for AI. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. All right. So we got our agenda here, and oh, the agenda is in here. All right. Through the power of Datavolo, we're gonna get ourselves an agenda. All right, there's our agenda right here. Let's see what we've got. We've got the overview, our problem statements, development process, be given a demonstration, and I believe that should be about it. Going on to an overview here. Yeah, I've been making a little app in Datavilla. It's a RAG chatbot. For anyone who's a little unclear about what RAG is, it's basically feeding a chatbot additional context from your database so that it's able to actually know what you're talking about, and it reduces the amount of hallucinations that the AI has. And I have some pretty cool features that I added into it, like being able to swap the topic it talks about. And it's also a bot in Slack, which should be pretty exciting. But and all that, I'll go a bit more into detail later. But going over to a problem statement that I've been following over the course of my internship, that's really hard for new learners of tabletop role-playing games to learn the rules. Because for games like D&D, like those games have like a bunch of rule books. I forget where I set down my rule books, but they're like one of those is like this big, and they're like this wide. So they're pretty big. And
And
even
people can
the
play. They don't have to play with all the rule books, right? And folks that are
no no
start
no
with
not
base
necessarily. The shortest version of the rules is only around like 400 pages or so.
only.
I mean, it's a lot different than having like a whole stack of like 5, like 600-page books for sure. But anyway, so solution I have here is to use a RAG chatbot to answer questions about the rules during play, and also to talk about like multiple rule sets in the chatbots that you can use it for any role-playing game that you're playing with your friends.
I'm not gonna lie. I mentioned it after you presented this to us internally yesterday. I purposely bought the old Traveler RPG that I knew from the olden days. I'm gonna give this a whirl myself behind the scenes. Post this and see how that works out. Looking forward to it. Keep it going. Thank you.
Mhm. Anyway, going over the development process, Datavolo makes all the sense in the world because kind of reminds me of a video game I've played a lot called Factorio. Got a little screenshot of it over on the side right here. And that guy or that game is where you're building a factory and you're researching new machines to build better factories. Grossly oversimplifying it here, but in my opinion, the process of building the factories in that game kind of feels like building a flow in Datavolo. And so talking a little bit about another thing I made was an agentic RAG system. And agentic RAG, as opposed to regular RAG, is basically where you're splitting up the question into smaller questions that are a lot easier for the AI to be able to answer like really well. And then you take the answers to all the questions that got split up, combine all the answers together using AI, and then you got your answer to your main question.
So do you on that concept? So the RAG concept, I get it. Hey, ask me a question. I'll take your question, see what from maybe a corpus of information I have to help feed my prompt to the basic LM and say, hey, what's the answer? And when you say agentic, are we doing some smarts? Or are we just like shotgunning? Are we saying, hey, here's what the person asked. I'll spam it to a bunch of different agents and see what their answers are? Or am I intelligently kind of parsing the initial question coming in and then, like you said, giving specific things to specific agents? How's that fundamentally work, or is it just all the above?
No, what we're doing is that we're feeding the original question to some AI, which is gonna split up the question into some smaller, more digestible
Oh,
questions.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
And as I said earlier, it is interface to this is through a Slack bot, but make it feel more like better. There's two main problems we would face, which is first of all, since it needs to talk about different topics, it needs to be able to remember the topic you're talking about and be able to swap it whenever you need to. Another thing is that it needs to be able to remember the previous messages you were talking about. So otherwise, it just doesn't feel quite like a chatbot at all. So we're able to do this through some pretty neat processors, the distributed map cache processors. The way those work is that you make a little identifier tag and you put in some information, some data into that, and then you use that same identifier to pull it out, and you're able to use that to remember any chat messages or remember what the topic was. Sorry, I think my dogs are barking in the background.
Oh, we didn't hear him. Yeah, I didn't hear
Oh,
him.
uh,
You got an incredible microphone.
just moving on here. I think we're gonna have a demonstration up. I think I can. What's going on here? Should I be sharing my Slack, or do you got it over on your end?
No, I don't have. Yeah, why don't you share it? And
Oh,
I'll
sure, yeah.
as it makes sense. That way, I don't. You
All
need
right.
else anytime you can.
I think I can just swap it over Slack here. Yeah, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is type an exclamation mark for any questions you got. Then we can say like, what do fighters unlock at level 3, for example? And then might take a couple seconds. Oh, there it is. Fighters unlock the martial archetype. Just demonstrating the memory capacity. Uh, what does that mean? And it
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
should be able to. Yeah. Got a little confused here because obviously it's not perfect. I'm not like some full-time engineer. I'm only an intern. I'm not a professional at all because it did kind of.
What are we paying you for then? We want professional
I'm trying my hardest. Trying my
You're
hardest here.
doing great.
Yeah, I mean, it works most of the time, at least.
That's as good as most enterprises are doing today in AI. Trust me,
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah, another little feature that I want to point out is that behind the scenes here, it isn't always using that agentic approach. Because sometimes, like this simple question here, it doesn't necessarily need to split it up into smaller questions. Sometimes it's already a simple question. So
Gotcha.
it's just being sent to one agent here. Whereas maybe if I ask a question of, say, what is the easiest magic class for beginners in Dungeons and Dragons, that would need more of an that is more needing of that agentic approach. Yeah, and here we go. We got the answer. According to its information, the easiest magic class for beginners is the sorcerer class. To also demonstrate its ability to swap topics, in addition to the memory, I believe this also has the basic role-playing system from Chaosium in here. We get a question of what's the easiest class in the basic role-playing system by Chaosium? And that should also be able to give us an answer. I mean, I haven't played the system as much, so I didn't really know this. It does not have strictly defined classes.
Yeah, I was gonna actually think of that probably wasn't a good one there, but I was gonna I was on the flies test how well it understands your conversation and my conversation, and I'm assuming that's part of that concept where you said keep track of the chat history. It's treating every individual as their own chat and what you built, or is this
No, it
or is it
doesn't, but
everybody?
it is able to keep track of conversations separately inside of replying threads.
Okay, that's
So
cool.
if I were to go over here, I'd be like, what kind of survival? Oh gosh, I can't spell. Survival skills are there in the basic role-playing system? And where basic role-playing system's a topic here, Dungeons and Dragons is a topic out here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put a question you put out there. Well, I'll leave it out. But if you're playing as demons, how bad is that for you or something? I was gonna leave that one out. And this is gonna, what kind of knowledge? I think we had a good one yesterday. Here's what somebody asked a question like, just copy it.
It's like, what are the available subclasses for the Ranger class?
Yeah, no, those are good ones because those are valid. I thought, and I want to see those, but definitely someone asked, hey, yeah, tell me about what's going on over here in Maryland, that kind of stuff. And it was nice to see, hey, I don't have updates of those kinds of things, just to make that point about AI systems know what they know and they don't know what they don't know. And your rule book sure as heck doesn't know this. And that LLM itself doesn't know anything about current events and that kind of stuff like that.
Mm.
Classes for Rangers.
It's got our subclasses here. And it's even telling us that there are other subclasses in more other rule sets. Like I was saying, that you can play with the bare minimum, but there's a bunch more in all the other books. It's wild.
Awesome. And what did you, and so in NiFi, you probably have at least two or three things, right? You got the app that you tied into Slack as kind of your input mechanism and all that good stuff. From the loading and the prepping, all that kind of stuff, I took a quick look behind the scenes on the NiFi canvas, and what I saw was what looks like most everyone else is going to do, right? Read some information, maybe get some PDFs of the rule books, etc.
Yeah.
Just walk that classic kind of data engineering path. If you got a second, anything happen in there that threw you for a loop, or did maybe our standard, the way we take maybe I'm assuming there were PDFs of the rule books, that did the parser, did the transformers? Did anything along the way freak out and not really do a good job? Did it just like, hey, this worked great?
I mean, I think the only problems was that there were some points where I forgot to update my flow, so stuff was breaking because didn't
Yeah,
have the latest fixes.
yeah,
But other than that, everything was pretty smooth.
sweet, sweet. You got a
Yeah.
second to kind of show that? Because some of the
Oh,
folks
yeah,
that may
sure.
be watching,
Yeah, I'm
well,
pretty
this is
proud of the work
cool.
I've done in the flow. I
Yeah,
spent a
we'd love
lot of
to see it if you got a few minutes. Because it's really what we want. That this flow is a straightforward data engineering pipeline for RAG apps or for agentic apps. It's perfect. Looks really good, straightforward.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time making it look nice with all the like changing up all the lines and
Yep.
stuff. You
Yeah, I
just
subscribed
refresh
to
the
NiFi.
window
I
here.
subscribed to the old adage of make it work, make it pretty, and then you got time, make it fast.
I think it's being a little slow with my internet or something here. I don't know. It's taking a
Yeah,
minute
if
to
you're
load
showing
here.
it, I think all we're seeing is the um, Slack window. I don't know if you're sharing by the desktop or.
Oh, oh, it's still showing the Slack window.
Yep, no worries.
Give me like 30 seconds. Let me.
Cool. I'll go grab another question or two.
Uh,
Put in that Slack bot.
you got it now?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, great. Oh, oops. Where did I drag that off to? That's not good. Uh, hang on. I lost where I dragged my processor group off to here.
Oh, I see it missing. I
Oh,
see.
there it is. Uh, so
Did you push it down a level? Is that what happened?
yeah, I accidentally threw it into a different processor group.
Uh, yeah, there's a one that's off there called like what raise up or something. There it is. Sweet.
Let me get that back up here.
And this was your first time. Was this your first time during this internship of seeing? Those that are looking at this know that Datavolo is clearly powered by Apache NiFi. Was this the first time you actually spent any significant time with something like
Yes,
Apache
this
NiFi?
is my first time ever using anything NiFi or NiFi adjacent.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. So I've been so to keep everything nice and clean, I've actually been using HTTP requests to send information between these processor groups here. So it isn't all jumbled up into one thing.
Hmm.
And I've got a lot of like right angles and stuff in all my connections between the processors. Got it all in nice, neat lines.
Not so they're all in the same canvas. So explain what you meant there. You're not using like remote process groups or process groups to each other,
So,
or
so with so real quick, the processor groups, we're just able to throw processors in there.
Mhm.
It's kind of like I'm
Oh,
not
okay. I
super
guess
sure how to
what I
describe
hear
it,
is
but like it's all locally still in the same runtime, but
Mhm.
it's just kind of having that sort of organization.
Sure, sure. So something in this process group needs to fire something in another process group, right?
Yeah, and the way we're communicating between these is doing little HTTP requests and sending it to like different ports at localhost.
Hmm. Now, is
Um,
that because you want it? I mean, we could still do that with just good old NiFi dragging and dropping between the,
yeah,
can't we?
you could.
Okay,
I
good, good.
think you could. I
Yeah, yeah.
just prefer this because it makes everything more nice and tidy. Doesn't have a bunch of crazy lines going everywhere.
For those old school 9.5 folks, they probably like it drag and drop only because, like you said yesterday, you can keep all your attributes and that kind of stuff. Plus, I don't know if when we use like this process group to another process group, all in the same JVM, by exposing the HTTP, I don't know if the system is bright enough to kind of short circuit all that stuff and go, hey, don't really go out and call the listener for the HTTP server. But good, cool stuff for sure, though. Uh, this is my favorite thing about NiFi. There are literally, you know, I wouldn't say thousands, but there are tens, fives, and tens of ways of doing just about everything, almost always.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is just to look at the system that's splitting the question and either being like
Hmm.
one agent or a bunch of agents. over here, we've got the thing that's splitting that question into smaller questions, sending them all the smaller questions to their own agents.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, we got everything to Slack, and it's got these distributed map caches that I was talking about earlier, all color coded.
Nice.
And of course, in here, it has all of the.
But let's take a look at that one just for a minute for the folks that are on the show, because this is, this is kind of
This
what
has
we're
got
as a
all
company,
the.
we're trying to help folks do this, a
Yeah, this has
lot,
got
'cause
all the Datavolo magic in it.
all the data. I mean, all their stuff is awesome. Probably, likely, not everyone's going to run all their, their AI apps directly in NiFi. We'd love you to, but
Yeah.
we know they got
Yeah,
frameworks.
because I had been testing, just doing stuff
Yeah,
outside of NiFi a bit with it, and it worked like totally
yeah,
well, even when I wasn't doing stuff in Datavolo. So you're able to do stuff in it, you can do stuff out of it,
yep.
but no matter what, this fancy PDF parsing magic will always be able to
Why don't
help
you zoom
out.
in a little bit for, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, maybe a teeny bit more for the old people like me that can't see anything.
Mm,
Awesome. So what do we have up there? We have our kind
Yeah,
of change data
yeah, we're
capture. We have our
just
ingest.
grabbing
Yeah.
everything from an S3 bucket. We've
Mm-hmm.
got this PDF parsing processor inside
Okay, so
here. We're splitting off the tables and the texts and stuff.
right.
It's all getting merged together. It's getting all
Hey
chunked up.
Robert,
Oh yeah?
if I wanted to, if I had a new game, maybe it's my own game, maybe it's
Sure.
another tabletop game that I found, and I found a PDF of the instructions. How hard would it be to make the chatbot know about that game and help me answer questions as I'm playing it?
Would
What
be
would I have to do?
pretty. All you have to do, you gotta drag it into the S3 bucket that we have storing all the information. Goes all the way down here. I'm currently using Pinecone for a vector database. So you just set a namespace for it. If we go back over here to the topic selection, where is it? Right here. Actually, I think I'm using a parameter context for this. All you gotta do is you just gotta input in a topic down here. Then and it should be the same name as uh, what's it called, namespace, and then everything should just work.
So the chat message you're looking for one of these code where one of these switches, and then you're just using that as an attribute that so when you do later call the vector database, you're saying, hey, in this context, find me things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, it's just saying, hey, this is the topic. Look for the database that has everything about this topic.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm gonna try my traveler out pretty easy on this. Cool. Get it, parse it, get it all together, chunk it, make your embedding, store it in Pinecone, and then your data engineering side of the house is done. Everything's ready, and what you've been showing us is, what everyone wants to do in this space: build cool, AI, agentic, RAG, whatever AI
Yeah.
apps. What we're doing here at Datavolo is this piece. How, would you say this pipeline was this 10%, 80% of the work you did? Because I don't want to time box how long it took you to integrate with Slack and all that stuff, and it was awesome. We can do it all here in NiFi.
I mean, I
What do you
think
think?
most of the time was on all of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, data, because all the stuff in Datavolo makes it just super quick to set this up and be done, and it just works.
Look at
It's
that.
great. I love
He's
it.
he's an intern in engineering, but he could have been an intern in sales or marketing because he took the softball and he knocked it out of the park. Thank you. So those that are watching, you heard it. High schooler told you, simple, easy to build this cool data engineering pipeline so you can go build a really awesome AI app. But you don't have a tool, take this. This is a perfect example of doing everything. Building the other side of the house, building that cool
I mean,
application.
just to give like a little perspective on how much time it took me to set this up.
Yeah.
Like once like including the time it took me to figure out NiFi and all that, it only took uh like a few days to get this all set up in a flow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And if you had to do another similar flow for something else, What do you think? A couple hours? A couple days
Not
still?
even. Not even.
There we go.
Like a couple minutes at max.
Sign that kid up for marketing right there, man. Awesome. I love this. This is incredible stuff. I'm not cutting you off. If you got more you want to share,
I mean,
we're
I
cool,
think we've wrapped it up quite
Yeah,
nicely
I think
here.
we did. And I will say, I wish we put this out publicly because we on the team, when you were showing this yesterday, had a field day, just priming the thing. I know we all took shots at ourselves. I asked it a great question about, comparing with the 1980s and now, and it responded so smooth, so slick. I fell in love with some of the responses. So, first and foremost, thanks for the internship. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned a lot of stuff. I think you're
I
with us
did.
another week. So
Yeah, I am.
awesome. But we know how to find you. We hope you can come back and do some more work with us in the future too.
Yeah. I
And
hope so.
more importantly, on top of the more important is thank you for being here for Uno Dos Tres Cuatro, edition Quattro. Again, brought to you by Dr. Pepper, zero sugar.
Of course. Thanks for
And great
having me.
taste. Don't mess up the marketing, the sponsors bit. 1 second.
Sorry.
And great taste is Dr. Pepper, but with zero sugar. Okay, what were you saying?
You gotta have the zero sugar.
Some of us, we need even less sugar than zero sugar for a lot of reasons, but that's on me. How about
Yeah,
you, Jay? Anything you want to sign off with before we give Robert our last few call outs? Anything you want to mention?
I was going to worry you were going to make you and I talk about what we were doing when we were Robert's age. But I
No,
don't
I
think
went
that
ahead
we
and
should go into
decided
that.
that is a depressing talk.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, seriously, Robert, this is my first week at this company, but congratulations. This is extremely cool. I hope
thank you.
sincerely that we see you again and that you take what you learned here, obviously, into the future. Yeah, and you could probably start a company building off of this, just selling tabletop role-playing game chatbots to people in Discord and Slack if you wanted to. So there's a little side hustle for you while you're in high school.
Absolutely. You have to host the instance. Datavolo Cloud's a great place for. We'll help you do
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else than Datavolo. This is
Yeah.
great.
Hey, just for fun, as we're thinking to the future, I know you're a couple years away. Are you interested in this kind of space when you get to college, university? You going to do some computer science? You're going to do
Yeah, that's the
religion?
plan.
What's your
Computer
plan?
science.
All right, good man, good man. You gotta keep it going. Um, I love it. All right, that's it for me. Anyone else got any holler outs where I hit the end button?
Just wanted to say thanks a bunch for having me here. It's been great talking about all this and sharing this with everyone at home.
It's incredible, and actually, it's been fun for me to, as a kid that grew up in the '80s, to kind of realize what my wife tells me, who's a high school teacher, that D&D has made a pretty big resurgence over the last few years, or probably the last 10 plus years. So
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
fun to see. It's fun to see. It's so popular that the United States Postal Service has a whole D&D stamp line right now, believe it or not. So
Oh,
that's,
really?
yeah, they're pretty cool stuff. So I'm a philatist or something like that. If you need to catch up on that, Robert, I'll see you offline. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Robert. Jay, we'll see you soon. Bye now.
Bye.